The ugly love story of a prideful woman. Her name was Celeste, and she wore her pride like silk, elegant, smooth, and impossible to tear. In the quiet town of Myronwell, she was admired, envied, even feared. She walked with her head high, lips sealed, and heart armored. She was brilliant, beautiful, and unreachable because she made herself so. The men tried to court her. Kind ones, clever ones, bold ones. But she found flaws in them all. Too eager. Too soft. Too poor. Too loud. Celeste believed love was for those who needed something. And she needed nothing. Then came Elias, a quiet carpenter who built things slowly and watched people the way one watches storms in the distance. He never tried to charm her. That was his charm. He looked at her like she was just a woman, not a prize. She hated that. But he stayed, fixing broken shutters, helping her mother with firewood, laughing softly with her little brother. He was present in the corners of her life, never asking for anything, never leaving either. She tested him. She mocked his simple life. He listened. She ignored his kindness. He returned it. She accused him of being weak. He walked away, only to return when her father died and no one else came. That night, she cried. Not because of her father, not fully, but because Elias held her hand and didn't look at her with pity or longing, just truth. You think you don't need anyone, he said. But you want to be needed. That's the difference. She slapped him. He left. Days turned to weeks. Pride is quiet company, but it doesn't comfort you. Doesn't reach for your hand in the dark. It doesn't notice when your voice cracks. Celeste broke. Quietly, not all at once. A vase dropped here. A letter burned there. A whisper in the mirror. I'm lonely. She found Elias again in the small workshop at the edge of town. He didn't look surprised. I came to say I was wrong, she whispered. And that I'm scared. He nodded. Good. Good, she asked. It means you're human. They didn't kiss. They didn't fall into each other's arms. They sat. They talked. They argued. They built something slowly, like his furniture. Nothing ornate. Nothing perfect. But strong. Love, Celeste learned, was not a crown or a war. It was a table with 2 chairs and someone who waits until you're ready to sit down. And that was her ugly, honest, stubborn love story. Not a fairy tale. But hers. Would you like it in a different format, like a script, novel excerpt, or poetic version? You said. Continue. ChatGPT said. Absolutely. Let's continue the story from where we left off. This next part follows the slow unraveling of Celeste's armor, as well as the subtle, difficult growth that defines her journey with Elias. The ugly love story of a prideful woman, Part 2. Celeste began to visit Elias's workshop more often. Not with flowers or flirtation, but with questions. About wood grain. About patience. About why he didn't hate her. I don't hate broken things, he said once, sanding a chair leg. They just take time. She almost walked out again. But this time she stayed. She learned to sweep sawdust. To hold things steady. She hated being a beginner. It made her feel small. But Elias didn't laugh at her splinters or her crooked cuts. He handed her bandages and said, You'll get better. One afternoon she asked him, Do you love me? Elias looked up, met her gaze, and replied, Do you want me to? She blinked. That's not how love works. It is for me. Celeste went home angry. Not because he said something cruel, but because he didn't fall apart for her. Not like others had. And for the first time she realized how much she had relied on that power, making others bend so she never had to. But Elias wasn't bending. He was building. So she had to decide, would she build too? Took months. Celeste started writing again, letters to herself, journal entries. Not beautiful words, not poetry. Just confessions. I'm not brave, I'm defensive. I'm not strong, I'm scared. I want to be seen, not just admired. And slowly, she began to show these pieces to Elias. Not all at once. Just torn pages slipped onto his workbench. He read them, never said much. But once, he placed a small wooden box beside her. Inside, every note she'd left him folded with care. You kept these, she whispered. I keep what matters. She cried in front of him then. For real. Not elegant tears, ugly ones. Snot and shaking and gasps. And when she collapsed into him, he didn't say, it's okay. He said, I know. People in Myronwell began to notice a change. Celeste smiled more. She still held her head high, but not like armor, like grace. She still challenged people, but not to push them away. She challenged them to be better. Kinder. Braver. One spring day, Elias built her a writing desk. It wasn't fancy. It had scuff marks where she'd messed up the measurements. But it was theirs. He carved a message inside the drawer. To the woman who learned to love ugly things, starting with herself. She didn't say anything when she read it. Just kissed his forehead and said, I'm not finished growing. Good, he replied. Neither am I. Their love was never perfect. There were fights, silences, mismatched dreams. But there was also honesty, and effort, and a choice every day to stay. And for Celeste, once the proudest woman in Myronwell, that was the most beautiful thing of all.